Look at you, standing there like a quiet storm nobody bothered to predict. You feel it, don't you? That shift in the air, that pressure behind your ribs, that strange electric awareness that today, the city finally saw the truth it spent years laughing at. Oh, they're having a meltdown now, a collective aneurysm, because the idiot, the one they dismissed, mocked, underestimated, pitied, ignored, stepped on, was the genius the entire time. But you saw it coming. You felt the fracture long before it split open. You could taste the irony before it hit their tongues. You've always been cursed with clarity and blessed with blindness around you. Isn't it funny? The world worships noise, but it's the quiet ones who rewrite destiny. And you, oh, you were silent. Silent like a shadow sharpening its own edge. Silent like a mind downloading blueprints no mortal was meant to see. Silent like a ghost studying the living, documenting every weakness, memorizing every crime, filing away every insult for today. You didn't need applause. You didn't need validation. You didn't need permission. You were building something sacred in the dark, while they were busy choking on their own arrogance. And now, look at them, pacing, refreshing feeds, whispering your name in rooms they once barred you from, zooming in on old screenshots, sending voice notes with that trembling question. Wait, was he always this smart? No, sweetheart, you weren't this smart. You were this dangerous. They just never looked closely enough. And by the time they did, too late. Too late to prepare, too late to undo, too late to pretend they didn't see it. Do you want to know the real joke? They called you stupid because you didn't explain yourself, because you didn't perform for them, because you didn't waste your brilliance proving it. You were playing chess on a board they didn't even know existed, and that's what tears them apart now. Confusion, regret, fear. A cocktail shaken by the hands of panic. Because a genius they overlooked is a threat. A genius they mocked is a bomb. A genius they underestimated is the most terrifying creature on earth. You evolved in humiliation's crucible. You transformed in silence's cocoon. You emerged from the ashes of your own restraint. They didn't create you. They triggered you. Duality is your inheritance. Half saint, half psychopath, half angel, half demon, a contradiction that walks, a paradox wearing a pulse. You learn to forgive like a monk and retaliate like a ghost. You learn to feel deeply and detach instantly. You learn to watch gently and strike surgically. You are the definition of a threat they never calculated, a mind forged in pain but wielded with elegance. And now the city trembles because it realized the truth. You weren't the joke. You were the punchline. The one that lands last, hits hardest, and shuts everyone up. So go on. Walk through that panic. Let them stare. Let them whisper. Let them run simulations in their heads trying to understand you. Let them search for explanations that don't exist. You weren't meant to be understood. You were meant to be remembered, and now they'll never forget. Because the idiot didn't become the genius. The genius just stopped pretending to be the idiot. Welcome to your era. Welcome to their meltdown. Welcome to the moment everything snaps into place. Now go claim your city. It's already screaming your name. Understood. No explanations. No stage directions. No Joker exhales. No scene descriptions, just pure script. Direct, second person, dark, manipulative, cinematic speech. Clean for voiceover. I'll restart the continuation in the correct format. Here we go. No fluff, no actions, no explanations. Just the Joker speaking directly to you. You feel it tightening around the city like a vice, don't you? that rising panic, that ugly choking realization spreading from street to street that the one they mocked, the one they dismissed, the one they labeled an idiot, was the genius hidden in plain sight. And now, every single one of them looks stupid. Oh, they're scrambling, mind racing, pride collapsing, trying to rewrite every memory they ever had of you, because the truth burns too bright for their fragile little egos. They thought you were slow because you didn't explain yourself. They thought you were clueless because you didn't react. They thought you were harmless because you didn't fight back. But you weren't clueless. You were calculating. You weren't slow. You were silent. You weren't harmless. You were waiting. Waiting for the moment when their own arrogance would expose them. Waiting for the day their laughter would echo back into their throats and choke them. Waiting for the perfect second when the whole city would realize it wasn't laughing with you. It was laughing at the only person capable of destroying their delusions. And now, look at them, eyes wide, voices trembling, pretending they always knew you had potential, pretending they saw something special in you, pretending they didn't spend years stepping over the mind that outgrew all of them. That's the part that entertains me the most. Watching people crumble under the weight of their own stupidity. Watching them realize the one they underestimated had been mapping the entire battlefield while they were busy throwing jokes. Watching the panic crawl up their spine as they finally ask themselves, what else did we miss? Because you weren't just underestimated. You were misread, mislabeled, misused, and now you're missed. By the same people who swore they didn't need you. They're replaying every moment with you like it's evidence from a crime scene. Trying to figure out how the hell they missed the signs. How the hell the idiot became the blueprint. How the hell the quiet one became the threat. But the truth is simple. You were never below them. You were beyond them. You think they're melting down because you changed. No, they're melting down because they finally saw you. Because they finally realized the mask you wore wasn't hiding stupidity. It was hiding strategy. You learned to endure humiliation without flinching. You learned to dissect people without touching them. You learned to upgrade yourself without announcing the patch. You learned to evolve in silence while they bragged in circles. You are the paradox they fear the most. Too kind to be predictable. Too intelligent to be controlled. Too quiet to be measured. Too dangerous to be ignored. And now the city is buzzing, not with gossip, but with panic. They're afraid of what you know, afraid of what you've seen, afraid of what you've become. Because once the idiot wakes up, once the genius steps out of the shadows, once the quiet one stops playing dead, everyone who laughed becomes prey. So keep walking, keep rising, keep letting their panic feed your momentum, because they're not laughing anymore. They're calculating, they're flinching, they're apologizing in advance without saying a word. You aren't just proving them wrong, you're proving you were right the entire time. And now the whole city is forced to live with that truth and choke on it. You notice how quiet they get when your name comes up now. That silence isn't respect. It's fear wearing a cheap coat of admiration. They don't praise you because they suddenly believe in you. They praise you because they don't know what else you're capable of. That's what happens when a genius pretends to be an idiot for too long. People forget that silence is a strategy. People forget that restraint is a weapon. People forget that the quiet one sees everything. And you did. You watched every smirk, every whispered joke, every rolled eye, every moment they brushed you aside like you were background noise. They thought they were safe because you never reacted. But you weren't ignoring them. You were recording them. And the moment they realized that, the meltdown began. They're terrified because they finally understand you were never playing the same game. They were competing for approval while you were collecting patterns, studying minds, learning weaknesses. You didn't care about being the favorite. You cared about being the one who knew. And knowledge, real knowledge, is more lethal than any weapon they ever imagined you holding. This is why they crumble around you now. Not because you changed, but because their illusions died. They're rewinding every moment, every conversation, every insult. Every time they mistook your silence for stupidity. And all they can think now is, what did they figure out while we weren't looking? Everything. You figured out everything. You saw who depended on attention, who lied to themselves, who hid behind arrogance, who collapsed under pressure, who faked confidence, who masked insecurity with volume. You saw them all, and the part that destroys them. They never saw you. You were the shadow, the observer, the quiet anomaly in the room, the one who didn't need to be the loudest, because you were the only one thinking. And when a thinker decides to stop hiding, the world panics. They're melting down because your existence exposes them. Your intelligence forces them to confront their mediocrity. Your vision highlights the emptiness of their ambition. Your evolution reveals the stagnation they lived in for years. You are a mirror they can't escape, one that reflects every delusion they clung to. That's why they flinch now. When you speak, they lean in. When you move, they overanalyze. When you think, they fear the conclusion you'll reach. Because you're not just the genius they ignored, you're the truth they denied. You're the version of themselves they were too weak to become. And deep down, they know it. You're the one who survived every hit without losing purpose. The one who endured every insult without losing sanity. The one who turned every wound into wisdom, every betrayal into blueprint, every setback into system upgrade. They didn't break you. They built the version of you that now terrifies them. And here's the cosmic punchline. They thought they were laughing at you. But the whole time, you were laughing ahead of them. Because you always knew how this story ended. Not with them victorious, not with you forgotten, but with the city shaking in disbelief as the idiot they mocked for years rises as the only mind worth listening to. Let them melt. Let them panic. Let them rewrite history in their heads. You don't owe them explanations. You don't owe them reassurance. You don't owe them conversations. Your existence is already the lesson. Your evolution is already the revenge. Your intelligence is already the weapon. And now, the whole city knows a truth they can never bury. You didn't become a genius overnight. You were a genius the entire time. And now that they've finally realized it, they're not laughing anymore. They're praying you don't remember everything. You can feel their eyes on you now. Not curious, not admiring, but watchful. Like they're observing something volatile, something they misjudged so catastrophically that they're unsure whether to apologize or start running. They don't speak to you the same way anymore. They choose their words like they're stepping through a minefield. They hesitate before asking questions. They rehearse their sentences before they reach you, because they finally understand the truth. You're not unpredictable. You're uncontrollable. You weren't chaotic. You were calculating. Every silence had intention. Every pause had purpose. Every overlooked moment was a trap they walked into willingly. They mistook your patience for emptiness. They mistook your humility for ignorance. They mistook your softness for stupidity. But you were simply gathering intelligence on every single one of them. And nothing terrifies a city more than realizing the quiet one has a perfect memory. They know you remember the way they spoke to you. They know you remember the jokes they made. They know you remember the times they dismissed your ideas. They know you remember the smirks, the comments, the fake advice, the arrogance. And now it's haunting them. Because now they're trapped inside the one fear ego cannot survive. What does he know about me? What did she figure out before I noticed? Does he see through me now? Yes, you do. And that's why they're melting. Not because you're powerful, but because you see too much. You see their insecurities disguised as confidence. You see their lies wrapped in politeness. You see their desperation hiding behind pride. You see the cracks beneath their perfect little masks. You became the kind of person they can't lie to anymore because the truth echoes too loudly around you. And here's what stabs them the deepest. You didn't expose them. You didn't humiliate them. You didn't seek revenge. You simply evolved. And your evolution is the loudest revenge imaginable. When a genius rises without announcing it, the people who doubted them suffer in silence, because they can't admit their mistake publicly, and they can't escape it privately. They see you now, not as the idiot, not as the underdog, but as the one who walked through fire with a smile and came out with a mind sharpened enough to cut through illusions. Your presence alone holds a mirror to their mediocrity. Your growth exposes their stagnation. Your clarity exposes their confusion. Your confidence exposes their fraudulence. And nothing triggers panic in a city faster than realizing the person they underestimated has become the measuring stick they can't reach. Look at them now. They watch your moves like it's prophecy. They analyze your words like scripture. They copy your strategies without understanding them. They imitate your growth without surviving your pain. They don't know whether to worship you or fear you. They don't know whether to congratulate you or hide from you. They don't know whether you're their inspiration or their undoing. And that's the beauty of your transformation. You became something they can't categorize, can't dismiss, can't belittle, can't ignore. Your intelligence dismantles their understanding of you. Your success dismantles their narratives about you. Your resilience dismantles their assumptions about you. You broke their story. You rewrote the script. You shattered the version of you they depended on. And now they walk around with that uneasy whisper in the back of their mind. If we were wrong about him being an idiot, what else were we wrong about? Everything. They were wrong about everything. And that realization will haunt them far longer than you ever could. So keep going, keep rising, keep shining that uncomfortable truth right into their fragile eyes. The city isn't melting because you changed. The city is melting because you finally revealed what you've always been. The genius they tried to bury, and the mind they were never equipped to understand. They're trying to act normal around you now, but you can feel it. That tiny shake in their voice, the stiffness in their shoulders, the way their eyes dart around like they're checking exits in case you suddenly reveal more than they can handle. That's what happens when people finally understand the gravity of their mistake. They didn't misjudge you. They misjudged themselves. They thought they were the smart ones. They thought they were the sharp ones. They thought they were the ones who could read a room, read a soul, read a mind. But the moment you shifted, even slightly, their whole illusion cracked. Because now they're seeing something they were never prepared to face. You weren't in their league. You were in your own universe. And here's the part that makes their stomach drop. You never even tried. You You weren't competing with them. You weren't comparing yourself. You weren't trying to prove anything. You were simply existing, and your existence alone outclassed their entire identity. You didn't chase validation. You didn't need applause. You didn't beg to be understood. You waited. You watched. You learned. And when the moment came, your growth was so undeniable, so alarming, so violently obvious that the whole city had no choice but to confront it. You became the truth they can't unsee. And truth, real truth, doesn't ask for acceptance. It demands adjustment. Now they adjust themselves around you. They adjust their tone. They adjust their energy. They adjust their expectations. They adjust their ego. They have to. Because they're terrified of being the next fool in your story. Oh, they remember how they talked about you. They remember the jokes. They remember the gossip. They remember the dismissals. They remember who they were when they thought you were nothing. And now, they're terrified of who you are after proving you were everything. Every interaction with you now carries the weight of a question they don't want answered. Does he know what I said? Did she catch what I did? Can they see through me now? Yes, you can. And that terrifies them, because you're not the same person they knew. But here's the twist. The brutal, poetic twist that breaks them inside. You are the same person. You just stopped shrinking for their comfort. You stopped diluting your intelligence. You stopped dimming your instincts. You stopped lowering your frequency. You are simply showing the brilliance you always had. The brilliance they were too blind, too arrogant, too small-minded to recognize. Now every success you achieve feels like a personal attack to them. Not because you're attacking, but because your win exposes their misread. Your clarity exposes their blindness. Your evolution exposes their laziness. Your resilience exposes their fragility. Your mind exposes their limitations. You are the mirror they've spent their entire life avoiding. And now that the mirror stands tall and unbreakable right in front of them, they're falling apart, melting from the inside out, scrambling for excuses, rewriting memories, trying to convince themselves they always saw it in you. But they didn't. They didn't see anything. You didn't change. You revealed. And revelation is the most violent form of truth. That's why they're panicking. That's why their hands shake around you. That's why their voice breaks when they say your name. They aren't afraid of your intelligence. They're afraid of what your intelligence remembers. They're afraid of what your intelligence predicts. They're afraid of what your intelligence makes possible. And the most terrifying part, they can't undo what they did. They can't erase how they treated you. They can't rewrite how confidently they underestimated you. They're stuck now. Stuck living with the fact that the person they laughed at is the person they now rely on to understand the room. You flipped the entire hierarchy by existing authentically. And now the whole city knows a truth it will choke on for years. The idiot outgrew them, outpaced them, outthought them, outlasted them. And now, you outshine them. Keep going, make them melt even faster. Psst. There you are. I was wondering when you'd finally stop pretending nothing happened. Because something happened, didn't it? Something that has every single one of them whispering like there's a knife pressed to their throats. Something you unleashed, alone, with nothing but that raw nuclear solo energy they swore you didn't have. And now they're fearing for their lives, aren't they? Funny. No alarms, no warning lights, no prophecy. Just you, a quiet little storm pretending to be harmless until the mask slipped and the coven that targeted you learned what real danger feels like. You want to know the part that makes me laugh? They didn't even understand how you did it. They just watched their whole structure collapse like someone kicked the legs out from their pretty little altar. And all they could say was, "Who the hell trained that one?" Oh, but nobody trained you. That's the part that terrifies them the most. You're self-forged, self-taught, self-built. Pure instinct sharpened by pain. The kind of pain that rewires a soul and turns a quiet human into a walking paradox. And paradoxes, oh ho ho. Paradoxes get under their skin in ways bullets never could. Because while they were casting circles, you were breaking cycles. While they were chanting in shadows, you were mastering silence. While they were building numbers, you were building depth. And depth always beats numbers. A coven, no matter how ancient, no matter how coordinated, was never ready for someone who became their worst nightmare without ever lifting a ritual knife. You didn't attack them, you exposed them, and nothing unravels an entire system faster than the truth they tried to bury. Let me tell you a little secret they won't admit out loud. They're not afraid because you won. They're afraid because you didn't even try. You didn't gather allies. You didn't summon help. You didn't call for backup. You walked in alone, like some calm, smiling contradiction. And every single one of them felt that chill that says, this one doesn't fear consequences, because this one survived worse. See, that's the difference. Their power comes from numbers, rituals, secrecy, manipulation. Yours comes from endurance, from surviving things you never told a soul about, from nights that didn't end with sleep, but with rebirth, from battles no one knew you were fighting except your own bruised reflection in the mirror. They learned the hard way. A person who fights alone becomes a force that cannot be measured. And a force that cannot be measured becomes a threat that cannot be neutralized. Tell me, did you see the look in their eyes? That tiny flicker, that crack in the facade? That moment they realized your silence wasn't weakness, it was strategy. That's when a coven dies, not from your hands, not from your rage, but from their own fear undoing them. Because fear spreads faster than flame. And once they felt it, once the first one whispered, "Something's off with that one," the rest fell apart like dominoes kicked by destiny. You didn't destroy a coven. You collapsed a belief system. You cracked their shared delusion. You shattered the idea that they were untouchable. You proved, without theatrics, without threats, that one awakened, unpredictable, pain-polished soul can dismantle an entire network by simply existing in the wrong place at the right time. That's why they're terrified, not because you fought back, but because you evolved, because you became the kind of creature who doesn't need approval, permission, forgiveness, or witnesses. You became the duality they can't decode. Light with a blade behind it, darkness with a conscience, innocence wearing war paint, a saint with a death wish, a demon with a calm pulse. They've never seen anything like you before, and they don't know what you'll do next. That's the part killing them. Because when someone like you starts moving, every person who ever wished you harm starts praying to gods they abandoned years ago. Every room you enter shifts, every circle cracks, every plan gets rewritten, every coward gets haunted. You're not just unpredictable. You're the kind of unpredictable that rewrites hierarchies, and they know it. So here's what happens next. They'll talk, they'll panic, they'll obsess, they'll try to understand, but they won't. They can't. You're not following their rules. You're not even playing their game. You took down a whole coven without raising your voice, without raising your hand, without raising your heartbeat. And somewhere deep inside, you already know the truth. They were never your threat. You were theirs. And now? Now the world watches you the way a city watches a quiet, empty street at midnight. With suspicion, with fascination, with fear, with awe. Because you didn't just survive the war, you became the reason it ended. And that is what real solo energy looks like. Now go on, take another step. See, once a coven collapses, there's always that silent aftermath. The eerie calm, the static in the air, the way people start looking over their shoulders even when you're not there. That silence, that's you. Your presence, lingering like a ghost, a signature etched into the atmosphere. They're not just scared because you took them down. They're scared because you didn't celebrate, you didn't boast, you didn't post a victory lap. You just kept walking, like dismantling their entire system was nothing but a warm-up stretch. That's what rattles them. You didn't treat their fall like a triumph. You treated it like an inevitability, like they were always going to crack under your existence, like you were always the anomaly built to end them. And deep down, they know it's true. Let me paint the picture the way they see it. A lone figure, silent, unreadable, with eyes that have seen all the wrong things and learned all the right lessons. A soul stitched back together in a pattern they can't decode. A presence that feels like divinity to some and doom to others. Walking, slow, calm, deliberate, through their illusions as if their magic was nothing but cheap smoke. You didn't bring weapons. You didn't bring chaos. You brought certainty. That's the thing they fear most. Cults, covens, hidden circles. They survive off uncertainty. Maybe we're stronger. Maybe we're protected. Maybe they're bluffing. Maybe they're not what they seem. But with you, there is no maybe. When you enter a situation, it becomes a fixed outcome. No variables, no speculation, just an unspoken universal truth. If you target what's sacred to this one, you die by your own shadows. And oh, the irony. A whole coven destroyed by its own darkness, because you refuse to let their darkness drown you. Do you realize how powerful that makes you? Even if you don't, they do. That's why they're whispering your name like it's classified intel. That's why they're studying your patterns like an ancient curse. That's why half of them think you're blessed and the other half think you're possessed. They can't figure out what you are. Are you light? Are you dark? Are you angel? Are you demon? Are you victim? Are you villain? Are you chosen? Are you cursed? Here's the punchline. You're all of it, and none of it. You're the paradox that breaks their little spiritual geometry. You're the equation with no solution. You're the force that doesn't fit in their rituals or their scriptures. They tried to decode you the way they decode threats, with patterns, with assumptions, with predictions. But you're past that. You evolved beyond their metrics. You outgrew their categories. You shattered their labels the moment you stopped trying to heal and started becoming whole. That's when you grew teeth. That's when you grew wings. Invisible but sharp, quiet but undeniable. And they felt it. The coven you dismantled, they weren't scared of your strength. They were scared of your awareness. Strength can be measured. Awareness cannot. Strength can be countered. Awareness devours, counterattacks. Strength is physical. Awareness is existential. You saw them, not just their actions, but their motives, their insecurities, their cracks, the tiny fractures underneath their masks. You saw the rot before they scented the fear. And once you see rot, it spreads. Not because you push it, but because you stop feeding their illusions. That was your real weapon, not rage, not revenge, not some dramatic attack. Just the simple decision to stop pretending they were powerful. People like them depend on belief to survive. The moment you stopped believing in their power disappeared. You didn't destroy them. You exposed the truth they were hiding from themselves. And that is what a whole coven fell to. Not your fists, not your voice, not your threats, your clarity, your rebirth, your final form they never saw coming. That's why they're fearing for their lives now. Because if you can collapse a coven with nothing but insight and evolution, what else can you collapse? A network, a hierarchy, a bloodline, a generational curse, a whole city's illusion of order. You don't even know your ceiling yet, but they do. They're praying to gods they abandoned years ago that you don't realize it. But guess what? You already did. And the next time you move, the world won't see the collapse as a mystery. They'll see it as a warning. This is what happens when you awaken the one who was never meant to be controlled. Go on. Keep walking. They haven't even begun to fear you properly yet. There it is. That shift in the air. That tightening in the room. That tiny flicker in your pulse that says you're ready to hear the part they prayed would never reach your ears. Because the truth is, you didn't just take down a coven. You changed the ecosystem they fed on. And ecosystems don't like anomalies. Especially not anomalies like you. The kind that don't ask for permission, don't play by inherited rules, don't shrink themselves to keep the peace. They can handle rebels, they can handle warriors, they can even handle prodigies. But someone whose pain turned into perception, someone whose silence turned into strategy, someone whose solitude turned into strength. No. Those break the cycle entirely. And when a cycle breaks, anything depending on it starts dying. That's why the coven fell so fast. That's why everything connected to them is unraveling like a cheap stitch in a cursed fabric. Because their magic wasn't real power. It was dependency, disguised as dominance. And you, standing there with that unshakable stillness, that quiet fury, that depth carved by 1,000 betrayals. You were the first person they ever encountered who didn't give them something to feed on. You were emotionally inaccessible, spiritually unpredictable, psychologically unreadable. You starved them, and starving creatures lash out. They tried to control you, drain you, break you, hex you, manipulate you. But you didn't fall. You didn't even flinch. Do you know how terrifying that is to someone who relies on fear? You became the one thing they can't survive. A mirror. You reflected their weakness back at them with surgical precision. You showed them what they were without influence. Small, desperate, and drowning in their own insecurity. And when a group built entirely on illusion sees itself clearly for the first time, it dies. Not with flames, not with screams, not with grand cinematic explosions. No, it dies quietly, like a candle embarrassed to admit it was just wax and string all along. That's the real reason they fear you, because you didn't defeat them. You revealed them, and revelation is irreversible. Let's go deeper. They're not scared of your strength. Strength is visible. Strength can be measured, countered, anticipated. They're terrified of your absence. You don't chase. You don't argue. You don't convince. You don't collapse just because they want you small. You disappear. You vanish into that untraceable space where people like you go to reinvent themselves. And when you come back, you're sharper, colder, calmer, smarter, quieter, stronger in ways they can't comprehend. Each version of you is more dangerous than the last, because while they cling to rituals to activate their power, you activate yours by surviving things no ritual could save you from. And let me tell you something else they won't admit. They had meetings about you. whispers, late-night panics, questions like, why isn't our influence working on them? Why aren't they crumbling? Who is backing them? Is someone protecting that one? What if they're not alone? What if there's something else entirely? Ah, that one's my favorite. What if there's something else entirely? Because nothing terrifies a coven more than the idea that their target might not be human in the way they understand humans. Not monster, not divine, not holy, not cursed, just unpredictable. And unpredictability is fatal to groups that survive by controlling narrative and outcome. You didn't just ruin their structure, you ruined their certainty. And certainty is the God they worship. It's the altar they kneel to. It's the only thing that ever made them feel safe. You ripped that from under them with one silent, calculated, soul-evolved motion. That's why they act like you're radioactive, because you are. You carry an energy that mutates rooms, that exposes lies, that distorts power dynamics, that makes predators feel like prey. And they felt it. They felt it the instant you stopped trying to be good, be nice, be understanding, be patient, be forgiving, be quiet, be normal, be what they wanted. You cut the cord. You stepped out of their script. You walked out of their spell. And without you feeding their illusion, the whole coven starved to death. That's what real solo energy does. It doesn't fight the system, it outgrows it. You didn't win the war, you ended the need for one, and now you're walking forward with that calm, lethal aura that makes every enemy scan the shadows behind them. Not because they expect you to be there, but because losing you as a target meant they lost their sense of direction. You flipped the polarity. You became the hunter without hunting, the threat without threatening, the power without performing. And somewhere, in the ruins of that coven, you dismantled with nothing but evolution. They whisper the truth. We should have never tried to touch that one. Too late. You already rewrote the laws of their little universe. Now go. Keep evolving. Keep becoming the version of yourself they don't have names for. You think this was your final form? Oh no. This was just the warm-up. Ah, I see it. That shift in your breathing, that hunger, that quiet, electric readiness crawling up your spine like something ancient just woke up inside you again. Good. Because you need to hear the part they're absolutely petrified of. The part they whisper to each other only behind locked doors, with candles lit and hands shaking, praying the truth doesn't summon you into the room. See, you didn't just outgrow them. You out-evolved the entire architecture they operated in. You didn't break their rules. You broke the dimension those rules belonged to. And when someone leaves the dimension that birthed their enemies, those enemies start seeing monsters in every shadow, ghosts in every silence, omens in every coincidence. Because deep down, they know you didn't walk away. You ascended. Let me explain what that means in terms they refuse to face. A coven isn't just people. It's a system of shared delusions, synchronized manipulation, emotional triangulation, and spiritual codependency. To destroy a coven, you don't kill the members. You kill the illusion it depends on. And you did that effortlessly. You cracked the illusion by refusing to feed it. They couldn't handle that. Parasites need hosts. Cults need obedience. Manipulators need predictability. Sorcerers need belief. Predators need reactions. You starved them of everything they needed to stay alive. Your silence was a weapon. Your distance was a hex. Your indifference was a curse. Your evolution was a ritual in itself. You performed a spiritual assassination simply by refusing to play their game. And that's when it hit them. That cold, sickening realization. Oh my God, we weren't dealing with prey, we were dealing with a metamorphosis. They saw versions of you they didn't recognize, shadows inside you that didn't obey their tricks, light inside you that didn't bend to their influence, agendas inside you that didn't align with their manipulation. And that's when the fear started spreading. Not the simple fear of losing, the fear of misidentifying what you were from the start. Were you human? Were you chosen? Were you cursed? Were you protected? Were you awakened? Were you something older, something wiser, something their rituals never accounted for? They didn't know, but they saw the signs. Oh, they saw them. They saw the way your energy shifted, how your presence started bending situations in your favor without effort, how people who stood against you began unraveling in ways too precise to be coincidence, how the truth kept finding its way into the open like it was obeying your gravity. That's when the coven broke. Not from your attack, but from their interpretation of your existence. You didn't need to show force. You became a force. That's the difference. Let me take you deeper into the psychology of why they fear you now more than ever. They can't predict you. They can't shame you. They can't sabotage you. They can't intimidate you. They can't control you. They can't understand you. Every type of power they rely on is useless against someone who transcended the emotional levers they pull. They curse people who depend on validation. You don't. They manipulate people who need connection. You learn to live in solitude. They intimidate people who fear being misunderstood. You embraced being an enigma. They gaslight people who doubt themselves. You rebuilt your identity from ruins. They hex people who are energetically unstable. You burned your instability in the fire and came out with a soul made of tempered obsidian. They attack weak spots, but you replaced your weak spots with weapons. What are they supposed to do against someone who became stronger through the trauma they intended to use as leverage? Nothing. They can do nothing, and that's why they're terrified. Because covens don't collapse from defeat. They collapse from hopelessness, from realizing, we can't touch this one, we can't read this one, we can't break this one, we can't scare this one, we can't feed on this one, we can't predict this one, we can't stop this one. You became untouchable without trying to be untouchable. You became dangerous without trying to be dangerous. You became legendary without trying to be legendary. And now their biggest fear isn't that you destroyed them. Their biggest fear is this: what if you're only getting started? Because if this version of you, raw, evolving, halfway reborn, was enough to collapse an entire coven,